Today I'm going to be showing you how to clean a carburetor on an Echo weed eater. Carburetor like that. First of all, you need carburetor cleaner or starting fluid. They both work as the same thing. Some tools to take it off. First thing you want to do is remove the air filter, which most of the time is just a little hand screw. Set that aside. First thing you want to do is take off the first part that houses the choke. That's the part that holds the carburetor onto the engine. After those are loose, just pull those off. Set that aside with the air filter. Then you have that. Then you're going to want to disconnect the fuel hoses and make sure you remember which ones go on which, because that can mess you up if you put them on the wrong ones. On every carburetor is usually the same thing. A Phillips head screwdriver to take this off, and that's usually where the primer bulb's at. I'm going to go ahead and take that off. That's where all the main parts are. Make sure you set those screws down in a nice little spot so you don't kick them around. Go ahead and remove that. It's going to be the housing with the bulb in it. Set that upside down so you don't get anything inside the bulb. And as you're taking this off, you don't want to take it off until you've sprayed it, because all this gunk on the side or the outside of the carburetor is going to get inside the carburetor if you don't. So the first thing you want to do before you take anything else off is spray it. Just like that. Then you can go ahead and take the rest off. Sometimes there's a screw there, sometimes there's not. This one does have a screw. Just go ahead and take that off. Go ahead and remove this. Take each part, make sure you set them aside, and you know exactly where it goes. All these little holes in here, you gotta make sure these line right back up with this, or else it's not gonna get filled. First thing you do is you basically just spray all around the carburetor at this point. You can never put too much on there, so be generous with it. Next you're going to take this little rubber piece, spray that off, make sure it's got no dirt on it. Take this, set it right back on there. Just like that. Take this part. So you can see a lot of yellow in there from the ethanol. Go ahead and spray that off. And with the hoses, usually where the hoses go in, spray down inside of them. Go and set that back on top of there. They got little slots for these right here, pins to go into. Make sure you get those in the right ones. Take your bowl. If that's dirty, which most of them are, all you gotta do is just spray that once. That's all it needs. Doesn't need any more than that. Set that back on there and go ahead and start putting all the screws back in there. I usually put all the screws in there before I start screwing them down, so you don't break the flange. And screw this one down first to a light tight, and then do the one right across from it on the other side. Get them all down to hand tight, and then tighten them up. Go ahead and start tightening them up after you do that. That part's done. Now you only have one more spot where the float's at. This is where the float is. Same thing, just take these screws off. Set them down aside where you're not going to step on them or kick them around. And that's the part right there. Little float. Just take your carburetor spray and spray. And that's good right there. That's all that needs. Go ahead and put that back on there. Not many parts in there. And now all there's left to do on there. Now all that's left to do is just give it just one more spray down all around. Now you can put these back. The fuel hoses, go ahead and put those back on there first. Take the flange with the cover, slide those two holes in there first, and guide it in there. That's in there. And you take screw that back in there, not too tight, just a couple turns past, just tight. If you leave them on there too tight, it makes the flanges and all the rubber pieces break. Take your air filter, the last piece, screw that bad boy back on there. There you go.